Let's get to topic number 2, which is about not just what's next for Poatan, but the impact he's making with these performances in his own division. So Poatan moved into a third-place tie with Daniel Cormier with 3 title defenses in light heavyweight history. It seems, Luke, like every 3 months when he returns and fights and knocks somebody big out, that we try to frame historically how to frame this impossible journey. He's not even been with the UFC 3 full years, and look at everything he's accomplished. What do you think now in totality when you add the Roundtree win to everything he's accomplished in this very short time since making the full-time move to MMA? How did this performance add or change the place that he's at in UFC light heavyweight history? Because when you look at the numbers and title defenses, he's making some moves in a very quick amount of time.
Can you set the context so that the folks know like what the leaderboard looks like?
So the leaderboard is like this. John Jones leads light heavyweight history with 11 title defenses. Tito Ortiz is number 2 with 5. You have Frank Shamrock and Chuck Liddell tied for 3rd with 4. And then at 3 now is Daniel Cormier and Alex Pereira.
Okay, so there's 2 basic things you have to decide if you want to rank this properly. One is how you want to rank era, because Frank Shamrock and Tito are obviously of a different era. They were very, very dominant for their time, but some folks are going to have difficulty ranking what somebody achieved in 2024 relative to 2004. That's going to be a problem. The second problem you're going to have to kind of reconcile is that I personally believe, and I can't exactly prove this, but I personally believe that Cormier in general beat better fighters. That's what I kind of believe.
I would agree with that.
As good as Poatan is, Cormier as light heavyweight champion beats him. We should be very clear about that. Not on the feet. I mean, I think Poatan wrecks him and just about everybody else on the feet. But Poatan, I'm not mad at him for this, but he has benefited from a historically relatively weak era of light heavyweights overall.
And it's not like they're running Ankalaev into him on purpose by accident.
Right, and also some favorable matchmaking. And I don't mind the favorable matchmaking. Like we have said, it was smart of the UFC to do it the way they've done because look at his star power. Look how it's grown. Look how much he's done for them. It all worked. Like, it was exactly the right call. But when we're evaluating a resume, it's like, dude, like, Ankalaev's not even that good of a wrestler, and he might boss him around. We don't know. We have to see. But, like, how would prime Phil Davis do against Poatan? Dude, I hate to tell you this. Prime Davis would beat the shit out of him.
All right, beat the shit out of his
On
wrestler.
the ground, he would not.
I'm not saying he wouldn't take him down and have great success there, but to blankly say that he's going to beat the shit out of him, to get those takedowns, he's got to walk through the hammer that's coming at him.
Okay, fine. Long Island Luke, prime Phil Davis. What does he do? Prime Phil Davis. What does he do to
beat the shit out of him? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably somewhat competitive.
Where on the dude? We're not like disputing on the feet. Poatan's going to smoke him. That's really not the point. We're talking about like once he gets a hold of him, what's going to happen?
Going to take him down.
What about Cormier? What does Cormier?
Yeah, Cormier is going to take him down. I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, Cormier is going to take him down.
All right, we'll have to see how he does against Ankalaev to get a better sense of
And
things.
I'm not fighting what you're trying to say ultimately, which is he can only fight who's available to him in his era right now. They're not comparable, in our opinion, to DC, and he's not. It's not like he's knocking down the door to break the record of the title defenses anyway. I mean, It's unreachable at this moment. So I think it's still too early because he's only been in the light heavyweight division for that much. And I know that it's been a string of all current or former champions that he's walking through, but his, so much of his legacy is middleweight, just the same in this short, less than 3-year window.
Yes. The question is that you have to ask is he a top 5 all-time light heavyweight? Now, here's what's noteworthy. Couture is not on that list.
Right, a 2-time light heavyweight
Vitor
champion.
Belfort is not on that list. Vanderlei Silva is not on that list. Dan Henderson is not on that list. You have to ask yourself, what Poatan's done, as impressive as it has been, does it put him above names like that? I think uncomfortably it does put him ahead of some of these guys that we revere. I do think it puts him ahead of, well, Dan Henderson's. I mean,
it's hard to know how much you can count for some of these guys of what they did in Pride or what they did out elsewhere.
But Dan Henderson being the middleweight and basically the light heavyweight champion, again, it was welterweight, middleweight for them, but essentially those 2 weight classes is pretty remarkable. But like in terms of what Poatan has done, like what 175-day stretch does Dan Henderson have at this weight class and this weight class alone that's as good as Poatan's? I don't know what it is.
Well, I think that's part of what makes Poatan so unique. Not just that it's hard to compare anyone having this type of success in such a short window of time, whether you're talking about the less than 3-year 2-division champion run or the 176-day 3 title defense run. I mean, just walk through these people. It's ridiculous. But Luke, I think his legacy is so unique that it has to be, his greater argument is on a totality, like the idea of what is he going to do next, and will he ever get that chance at becoming the first 3 division champion? I think his greatest argument is going to be not in a specific division. It's kind of like BJ Penn, where, you know what I mean? Yes, he made most of his bones at lightweight, but it's always debated between the lightweight and welterweight sides of his legacy when trying to rank in just one division. It's harder when somebody's built their legacy across 2 divisions in some degree. So
yeah, and Penn did more than just those 2 divisions. He also won at 85 too.
I don't like him even at this point in this discussion, because when you look at those title defense lists, he's not close, right? You got to give respect to what Ortiz did in that era and what Shamrock and Liddell
The Shamrock
did.
one is interesting for me. Like, Shamrock was an unbelievable athlete, but like,
You think the pioneering element takes away from the comparing of greatness? Because
I think that, I mean, he was dealing with light heavyweight and middleweight, like when the differentiator was like 199 versus 200 pounds.
Sure.
Like, it was like
just such a different time for the game.
It's such a different time for the game. So the question I ask again, like, what 175-day stretch do they have that's as comparable as this one? Like, this is what I mean. Like, can you say Poatan has passed like a Tito Ortiz? That seems a lot. On the other hand, what he's doing already in these compact amounts of time, like how much he's putting into it, almost none of these other guys. John Jones had 4 fights in 2011, if I recall. But most of these other guys don't have anything on their resume that looks like that particular moment in time.
Well, look at this stat in terms of days as UFC light heavyweight champion. Jones obviously first over 2 reigns with 2,098 days as champion. Cormier over 1,300 days. Tito Ortiz over 1,200 days. Liddell 770 days. Shamrock 700 days. Pereira 330 days.
Jesus, and he's already on
and he's
that
already
close?
got 3 defenses. And you could argue he's headlined the last 3 most important cards, like I mentioned. International Fight Week when Conor fell out, 300 at the last minute, and then replacing Jones and Miocic in the MSG main event a year ago. Crazy, dude.
That's insane.
So he's a gamer unlike any other.